Hello, baby. Good morning. It is another True Love Tuesday. It is August 24, 2021. True Love Tuesday, special edition, 7:44 a.m. It don't matter. We're recording every day. Failing forward always. Feeling so great from the inside out. How art thou doing? Have you been able to feel the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the weight of the body and into the rainbow arches at all of the times? Today we will be talking about parents and dating. Like girls and boys and parents and stuff. We'll be back. What do we mean? We're just gonna talk about parents and dating, like, hello, welcome to your first grade class, parents and dating. It's probably gonna be a little bit different than that. We're probably gonna be talking about abandonment issues, but we're also gonna be feeling so good from the inside out where we never abandon our own bodies. And how would we never abandon our own bodies? By feeling so good from the inside out with your only podcast in 3D. Please pretend with me that there is a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so. Like, just pretend that there's like a lit candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out on your birthday or something. A lit candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. It's flickering. Don't think about inhaling or exhaling. Just a lit candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles all the way alone as you continue to pretend that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone as observe your sense of self wherever you are, as we're stretching our self-awareness. Wherever you are, whether you are looking around at your bed, taking the sheets off, or maybe you're looking at your pillow still, smelling yourself from the last night, or maybe you're awake, maybe you've been wide awake for a while. How are you? How are you feeling? Are you in the shower? Are you able to pretend that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out? And to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so. A certain stillness that seems like it's hard to attain looking at other things, as most things are further away from our focus than a candle a few inches from our lips, right? So doesn't that take attention away from these muscles that engage when we focus on centering our body around something so near, like the candle in front of our lips? Something that can never abandon you. As you leave your swallowing muscles alone, as these candles and these swallowing muscles are always there, and you can always leave your swallowing muscles, and you can always pretend that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. Doesn't that feeling feel so close? And when that feeling gets further and further away, doesn't it hurt so much and much? Don't we all have abandonment issues? Don't we all have abandonment issues? From where, Herbie? From our parents. Today we talk about dating. And parents. How do you date when you have parents? Because your parents gifted you with some great abandonment issues. How do we know that? Because as a little baby child thing, imagine like you're a caveman, baby child thing. It doesn't matter, actually, if you're a baby child thing throughout any time. You were helpless as a baby child thing. When you're a little baby child thing, you were completely helpless. And so it's not so much about the parents bequeathing you intentionally abandonment issues. It's more about the fact that when you're a little baby child thing, you're so weak that everything becomes an abandonment issue, because abandonment means death for a baby. It's not so much that the parents are so imperfect. It's the fact that babies are just so weak. So everything's life-threatening, and that kind of thing stays with you. You get traumatized as a child, You gotta uncover that thing your whole life, figure out what's traumatizing you. Insane. It's not about, it is about our parents, but it's not about our parents. It's deeper than it seems on Padawan. The host, how do you like? What are we doing here on Padawan? What are we doing? We are feeling so great from the inside out, looking at the whole world from the inside out. As we examine most things from the inside out, as we look at meaning and not object in most things in life. We look at meaning, not object, at everything in life. What did we say? We said we look at meaning, not object. We look at meaning, not object. Say it with me. We react to meaning, not object. To quote a particular somebody. Say it with me. We react to meaning, not object. One more time, say it with me. We react to meaning, not object. And how do we know that? Well, when we look at our insides, our bones, our muscles, our visceralities inside, our anatomy from the inside, are we feeling our individual bones most of the times, or do we feel the culminating experience that happens outside of that? Are we paying attention to the individual vertebrae? Or are we paying attention to the alignment that we feel? This overall meaning that is a summation of all of these different factors of the inside body to culminate to this feeling of like, hey, how are you? Are you checking each individual object of each bone? Hey, this bone is good. This bone is good. That bone is in a weird place. Possibly, but getting towards an entire balance is what you're usually talking about. An entire feeling of like, how are you doing? When someone asks, how are you doing today? You're reacting to an entire meaning of, oh, how am I doing? An entire kinesthetic experience, an entire full body experience, an entire full body consciousness, awareness, and how that feels with itself, not individual objects, right? But rather the meaning of the feeling of self-centeredness and self-balance in a positive light that arises from the proper alignment of all of these different body structures as they are balancing your body upright, right? As it's an amazing thing that you're upright at all. Imagine trying to balance a dynamic 3D object like you are and stay upright while still breathing, which is a pump that goes up and down and all these kinds of things. You're just this crazy dynamic 3D object. So it's very difficult that you are even standing upright. Think about most things in nature, just how large we are and what we can do with our bodies and how long we can survive and how long we can outlast other animals. It's insane. We look at meaning throughout life, not object, because that's how we look at our own experience as well. We're not looking at our individual bones to find out if we're okay, but rather this all encompassing feeling that it all directs towards, of like how your body is feeling together, how it's aligned. Yes, we look at individual parts when they're feeling injured, but why do we do that? Because we're trying to integrate it back into the entire meaning of the entire body and make it feel like it's not there. Isn't it true that when you have a stomach ache, you begin to feel your stomach, but what you want to do is not feel your stomach. You want your whole body to feel more whole, right? You want your whole body to feel more holistically there, all put together as kind of like one object, right? Yes, you have individual arms and individual legs and a torso that's distinct from a head, especially on the outside. You're looking from the outside, looking in, but it is one entire body, especially from the inside out. As you are coordinating and interacting with the world from the inside out, you operate as one being towards the inside out, and your body integrates towards all of your single intentions, right? When you reach for a glass, you do not think about, oh, pivot my left foot here, drop my knee there, rotate my left shoulder backwards, extend my right arm, close my fingers, right? It's a general attention of a singular awareness of, I want to bring this cup there. Your body knows what it normally does to do that. Your body whoosh, it's all one smooth, integrated action, especially when you're the most authentic. What happens when you are feeling stressed out, anxious, conflicted within from the inside due to fear of outside consequences? Well, your inside body ends up fragmenting, and you do not become as wholesome in your motions. You do not become as integrated or authentic, and you end up becoming kind of clumsy sometimes as your body's trying to faithfully carry out different instructions. Oh, hide your left shoulder because you're embarrassed. You don't want to admit that you're grabbing this cup. Oh, but grab this cup because you're thirsty. Oh, but don't twist your right leg in because there's somebody here who you don't want them to see that pants stain. And so you got to rotate your certain way. So you're doing all these different instructions. Your body's a contortionist. You're all mixed up. Your body's a contortionist. When we have all these conflicts within, we're looking outside, we're trying to look at too many objects, and we're not just reacting to meaning, as our body itself is the meaning, right? We want to grab that object. Our body becomes the meaning towards grabbing that object. Whoosh! So long as it is unfettered by any kind of conflict or barriers. As long as your body is not trying to commit to multiple different instructions, especially from the outside in, like trying to appease or please other people with their actions. But when you're being authentic, when you're being integrated, your body moves as one meaning, one fluid meaning. We often look at art and rate art based on how effortless it looks, right? The body becomes the meaning, not fragmented into several attempting meanings, but rather one simple, understandable, effortless meaning. Don't we gauge a dancer, how well a dancer is, based on how effortless they make the dance look? Don't we associate pleasurable singing with singing that sounds effortless? Effortless. Just like our bodies, because when our bodies are effortless, they are simply becoming the meaning of what we are. What we believe. We want this cup to be over there, our body does it. Your body can do it sleeping. Our bodies, our minds react to meaning, not object. And so, as we discuss today, dating and parents, we look at true love today, as in true love, as in the truth without hatred, always as love is. We talk about meaning as it helps us avoid anger at all times, as we are establishing meaning, which helps us go throughout life. We'll be right back after this short break. We'll talk about dating and parents, and how we are shaped by our parents and the ways that they abandoned us. Is it because our parents are so awful that they abandoned us? No, it's because there's a little baby child thing, every kind of abandonment is life or death, and that stays with you. You know what I'm saying? So how do we date? Well, we got to understand that first and foremost. How are you gonna date somebody you don't understand the most basic primal things about them? If we're pretending that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swelling muscles alone as you do so. Remember to just pretend that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swelling muscles alone as you do so. And remember, you're going to be just fine. And we'll be right back. And pal, go on. This is middle school and ASO's song, Cypress. Welcome back. Hope you didn't stay too far too long. Wherever you are, you window to this godlike experience that you are. I hope you had some time to maybe make some eggs, or maybe get up, or maybe just do some guided breathing for yourself. Some guided awareness. Have you been looking around? Looking at the walls right now? Or your eyes closed? Are you in cahoots with some good company today? Are you planning for something later that's gonna be exciting as heck today? Or are you dreading some kind of appointment or disappointment? Wherever you are, have you been able to draw your attention and awareness to place pretending that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out? And to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so, of course. And why do we do this? To feel so good from the inside out, to regulate our body, because of course when you feel good, you think good, and when you think good, you do good here on Padawan. Again, if you would, say it with me. When you feel good, you think good. And when you think good, you do good. You don't even need to say it out loud. You could say it in your head with me. If you'd like to, please say it in your head with me, please. When you feel good, you think good. And when you think good, you do good. And one more time, if you would. Just say it with me in your head. Just in your head, it's okay. Don't think about breathing in or out or anything like that, or exhaling or inhaling. Just in your head, just please say it with me. Pretend there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. And in your head, say it with me. Leave the swallowing muscles alone. And how does that feel for you? Don't think about inhaling or exhaling, just put that candle into your awareness. As we are stretching our self-awareness like a muscle, as you are one part of this gigantic planet full of billions of people. And yet, this entire planet of billions of people is one population, composed of individual parts. And we all can pretend there's a candle in front of our lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave our swallowing muscles alone. Aren't we all one and the same in that way? And so when we say that we are shaped by the abandonment issues of our parents that our parents have gifted to us, that we have inherited from our parents, we say that everybody, just like the whole candle in front of the lips thing, everybody pretty much has these abandonment issues. Why? Is it because everybody has super incredibly awful parents? No. Because as a super little baby thing, you are super awfully incredibly weak. And so any kind of thing that might seem like abandonment becomes traumatizing. As it gets closer and closer to death, it feels like death to you. And as we get older, it becomes harder and harder to decipher what is that trauma from a childhood, from the way that our parents had decided to, whatever, they went about it, did their best way they could, as we were all doing our best way that they tried, lest they be subdued to their own human follies. Subtracting the idea of any particular parents, we all have these abandonment issues, because as a little baby child thing, any sort of abandonment feels like death, which will carry on through you, like trauma. As wouldn't that be the most biologically advantageous thing for your body? Is to see that thing that brings you quote unquote death, what you believe to be your death, and to be traumatized by it, to avoid it forever, so that you never risk dealing with it, because isn't that the ultimate consequence for your body? So isn't it your body's ultimate impetus is for your survival? Make sure that you stay alive. Isn't that what your instincts tell you? How did our parents mess us up so much? Well, we have all these abandonment issues because as a babies, well, how are we so weak? Because you're a baby. So you fear everything that feels like abandonment. It's not that our parents abandoned us, or it's not that every parent abandoned every kid in the same exact way, but it's that abandonment looks like so many more things than we thought it did. Abandonment issues! As in the fear of abandonment from people, as in an overdependence on people, as in a feeling of survival that is dependent on other people that are not you. How does that happen? Because as a little baby child, everybody is in that mode already. Every little body is in the mode of, if an individual, like a human being, abandons me or doesn't like me or doesn't care for me, I'm dead. Everybody starts off like that. So where does it come from? Well, it comes from us. It's all of us inside. That's how we are. That's how we see the world as a child, because it's the truth. We react to meaning, not object. Even though a baby might be cared for in the next 5 minutes, it doesn't know that from the inside out. What it knows from the inside out is that I'm a little baby child and I can die in, who knows, I can die in seconds if a lion comes by and there's no one to protect me. So it's not reacting to the object of the parent being nearby. There might be an objective truth that the parent is, oh yeah, in the other room, like 2 seconds away. It's okay, baby. Yeah, but the baby is reacting to the meaning of its own body, which is that at any second, it's dead. It can fall off a table. A lion can come by and eat it. There's nothing defending it, and that's the meaning of its body. That's the meaning of its experience. Its experience, as we discussed earlier, our bodies are this meaning. So the meaning of this body is like, wow, I'm helpless. So pretty much anything ends up looking like abandonment as a child, as a little baby child thing. It's the closer you are as a baby child. So what else can look like abandonment? Anger, definitely. Anything that abandons the idea of a child or of a baby feeling as though it has the proper love and attention that it needs to survive from moment to moment. So anger definitely looks like abandonment, because the baby knows immediately from the inside out that anger causes the human being to do things that would cause the baby to die, such as physically abandoning it, hurting it physically, deciding that itself is more important, or that person is more important than the baby. All sorts of things that anger and emotional clouding can do cause a person to behave like in a way that they normally wouldn't with anger. Without anger. What else can look like abandonment? Obviously, physical abuse. Using the child to gratify the own parent's needs. Manipulating the child by withholding love if the child doesn't do certain things, like emotional blackmail. Lying to the child. Gaslighting the child. Not feeding the child. The child's crying for too long and not getting the attention that they need. Even if the child is crying for too long, that can feel like abandonment, because they don't know that they don't know the parent's coming back. Not telling the truth can look like abandonment to children. Lying to children can be abandonment to children, as lying would be abandoning the child from the proper ordering for them to actually operate in this world. As you need to know and be able to orient yourself to truth to be able to operate properly in this world, to get what you want in this world. How fast are you going to get up that tree if you're trying to climb? Let's say if your child wants to grab that apple in that tree, how fast are they going to get that apple if they're trying to get there using an imaginary staircase, rather than integrating with the truth of what's there and observing maybe a pattern in the trees that they can abuse to get up to the apple. But if they're walking on sunshine, they're walking on magic air, how far are you going to get? Absolutely nowhere. And so lying to our children can look like abandonment. And so when you're lied to as a child, that's abandonment. And then does that transfer to your dating life? doesn't that make you feel a little bit more apprehensive about people? As your parents are supposed to be your gateway to the world. They're supposed to be your gateway, and then their parents are supposed to be the gateway to their worlds, and their parents are supposed to be the gateway to their world. So it's an endless avatar cycle. It's an endless loop. So there's no point in getting mad at anyone in particular, but rather observing the pattern. Just seeing it for what it is so we can operate within it. Your parents are their parents, and their parents are their parents, and their parents are their parents' abandonment issues. All passed down, all the way to you, right? And abandonment, is that just physical stuff? Like, oh, they didn't leave me in a room for... I was actually always in their arms all the time. I was actually always in their arms, and they didn't want to let me go. They never want to let me go anywhere, actually. They didn't abandon me at all. Well, isn't that abandoning you in the sense that they're not preparing you for the world? They're going to toss you in this world unable to understand the world, as they are completely sheltering you from the world, not treating you as they would treat themselves, with freedom. It can be an abandonment issue for the parents to treat the children as though they are more precious than they would treat themselves, with baby gloves that they would not treat themselves with. Doesn't that mean that they are again gratifying themselves with using their children, saying that this child is so perfect, saying that this child means so much to me that I must control it because it is a reflection of me? Well, nobody is a reflection of anybody like that except themselves. As we are all this window to this godlike experience that we are, and when our parents don't trust that, and when their parents don't trust them, and when their parents don't trust them to be solid individuals like that, but rather coddle them, that's an abandonment issue as well, because you are not choosing to see the greatness in them, and we react to meaning, not object, always. So when your parents coddle you, and when their parents coddled them, and when your girlfriend's parents coddled her, and when your boyfriend's parents coddled him, we react to meaning, not object. So what we are reacting to as that child, as that son, as that daughter, we are reacting to the fact that they believe we are weak. And so we believe we are to be weak because we react to their meaning. And their whole body demonstrates that just by keeping us around. They might say, oh, you're strong. We believe in you. But the fact that they coddle you and cause you to stay around and cause you to stay underneath their wing is a form of abandonment. As internally they are telling you that they believe you are weak, as our bodies are always the meaning before the object, right? Before the object that we say, oh, we love you, the meaning of their body, the fact that they cannot trust you to go out, means that they actually believe you to be weak. They can say, I believe you to be strong. I can believe you to be strong, daughter. I believe you to be strong, child. But we react to meaning, not objects. So should they coddle us? Should they not treat us the way that they would treat themselves? Should they not treat us with honesty? Should they not treat you with serious honesty, truth without hatred? And should they coddle you? We react to meaning, not objects, so they don't actually believe you to be strong. Their body betrays them. But that's okay, because that's what happened to them too. And then that's what happened to them too. And that's what happened to them too. And then their parents, and then their parents, and then their parents. We'll be right back, okay? feeling so good from the inside out. Better than your morning would feel without. This has been, well, the music you've been listening to right now has been Rockaway 5 p.m. by AUV. Again, that's Rockaway 5 p.m. by AUV. Welcome to the second half of August 24th's True Love Tuesday on Pogo On. We all got these abandonment issues from our parents, and should we be looking back at the past when we were dating? Nah. But our whole bodies are this log of our whole entire lives, right? Maybe not our physical body, but again, the meaning of our body is in the way our body feels in relationship to itself, where it decides to have conflict in the body, where it decides to get tight, where it decides to stay loose, and where it decides to stay firm, as all of those resonate with specific parts of your consciousness as well, like guilt, shame, abandonment issues, forming different parts of your bodies, right? Like how the front half of your tongue is associated with consciousness, and the back half of your tongue is associated with your subconscious, and how the top vertebrae is associated with the up and down nodding motion, and then the next vertebrae down, your C2, the axis, is associated mostly with the no motion, the shaking your head left and right, and how your vertebrae next down from that is more responsible for the side bend, as in pushing your right ear to your right shoulder, your left ear to your left shoulder, vice versa. So as we know that there are particular parts of the body that have this design, right? Our whole bodies are this meaning, so we're holding on to all these different thoughts and emotions and ideas about our lives throughout our body, throughout the way that we see meaning in our own body and where we develop meaning in our own body. So we look at meaning largely before object. So why is it an issue when parents might say, when we're going through life and our parents might be upset with us and we say, please don't be mad at us, and they say, we never get mad at you, and then you say, hey, yeah, you get mad at me sometimes, and they go, no, I never get mad at you. And as a child, little baby thing, you don't know how to articulate your thoughts, you don't know how to compartmentalize all these nuance, you don't know how to understand what they're saying when they say that they're not upset with you, but they're upset with what you did, all this kind of stuff. Their whole body resonates that they're upset. Regardless of what they say, what is the meaning of what's going on? What is the meaning of their body? Are they experiencing an anger that represents them possibly viewing their own child as too much of an attachment for their own self-worth on this earth? As we are all responsible for ourselves, and our children are not what cause us to be valuable on earth, but they are also their own individuals who individuate as they get older. So we are all these individuals. And so our parents, or their parents, and then their parents, despite what they want to say verbally, the meaning of their body, the meaning of their actions, of their life, that is carried out through which vessel? Their body. So their lives, where they are, who they are, their personality, everything they are is the meaning. So should you say, I'm not angry with somebody, but your body betrays you, your body's meaning wins out every time, because we react to meaning, not object. How is it possible for somebody to say, I'm not angry, but then still be angry? Well, easily, right? We all know that to be true very easily. It's very easy to say one thing but mean another. Mean another through your body. As we are confirming more often, more, that the body does indeed have a meaning. It is not this random, fragmented vessel. It is not this random, fragmented, connect the dots pieces, connect four, connects Lego block system. But no, your body is one entire meaning. And how do we know that? Well, we gauge entire artworks, we gauge entire lifespans, we gauge entire movements of the body like dance and singing. We gauge that based on a feeling of effortlessness, which is a feeling of oneness. A feeling of effortlessness, which is a feeling of oneness. Not separatedness, not separated like I'm saying one thing but acting another. Not saying I'm not angry but then acting angry. That is the opposite of a oneness. That's a two-ness. But looking at things that we love in life, we see a oneness in it, because from the inside out, we understand that every human being is like us, so we don't gauge people on object, we gauge them on meaning, right? And so we gauge everybody else's experience based on our own experience, which is one experience. We're not having 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, blah, 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 blah. You're having one experience in this body of yours, this window to this godlike experience that you are. This oneness. So when we look at other people, as we react to meaning, not object, we are always looking at them as also this person who is experiencing a oneness. Now, when we're angry or fearing death, fearing consequences, feeling like we can't overcome certain consequences, our perception may become skewed a little bit, becomes a little bit harder to see meaning, but we suffer for that immediately. The second you start to align with the wrong meanings. Isn't that why we associate love with truth? Is that when people agree with something, they always say straight up truth. We associate truth to just be such a positive thing. We associate truth to be this positive thing because as soon as you start veering from the truth, the world lets you know. But as soon as you start going towards the truth, the world lets you know. In the best possible way. And that's a good thing, right? So we're always reacting to meaning all the time. So when we're dating our parents, we're looking at our parents, we're looking at the anger that we see in our dating lives, and all this kind of stuff that's confusing because of our abandonment issues with our parents. As we're the best thing we try to emulate when we're dating would be the parents. It's the best thing we got. Individually. Isn't that true? Isn't that true that the closest thing we have, it might not be the best example, they might be poor examples of it, but as a child, as a little baby thing, the best way they can ascertain knowledge about parents you go to the source. So it's no wonder that people are dating others based on their parental issues. It's no wonder that people are dating quote unquote their parents. As we have abandonment issues from our parents that we need to solve because they feel like death. And so how are we going to solve those specific issues? Well, we got to go find somebody who reminds us of those issues so we can try to tackle them. But if we don't know how to tackle them, we're screwed. We're going for another trip down this rabbit hole. But it's a valiant fight. It's a valiant effort. It's a good effort. It's the good fight. On True Love Tuesdays, we remind you, it's the good fight. We look for somebody who tortures us for a reason because it is scary, makes us feel like there is indeed something threatening. And if so, there's something threatening, it's actually a very smart attitude to be around that thing, to experience how to overcome this suffering, how to overcome that crazy amount of suffering that feels like death. You would want to be around that thing to get exposure, to get strategies, to get experience dealing with this threat. So is it any wonder that people date, quote unquote, their parents? Not really. But since we react to meaning, not object, oftentimes people will say, oh, I'm not angry with you, when they're talking to their spouses. Sounds like mama. Sounds like dada sometimes. Right? I'm not angry with you, but is obviously angry. thinking that that's love. We didn't know it wasn't love. We just didn't know it wasn't love. We just didn't know it wasn't love, you know? But if you're angry and your body is exposing the meaning of you being angry, and then you try to spit out the object of saying I'm not angry, the verbal object, the verbal object of saying I'm not angry, but your body being the meaning of anger, right? Well, what's the meaning of that now, as we're always reacting to meaning, not object? Well, isn't that like lying? Isn't that like your parents lying to you? Isn't that like their parents lying to them? Isn't that like you lying to your partner? If your body is already telling the meaning that you're angry, and there's no way of hiding that because your body is the meaning. And we can reverse engineer that. We can backdoor that, right? You can put a candle in front of your lips and try not to put out, and then you can leave your swallowing muscles on so that your body doesn't feel angry. Because what is anger, right? What is anger if not a feeling that your body feels, right? An uncomfortable feeling, right? Your body feels like it can't breathe, probably. Right? It's afraid of something, right? You can't be angry if you're not afraid of something. Afraid of what? A feeling that you can't overcome, right? This feeling. You can hear it, right? You can hear this anger thing. So when your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, when their whole body is exuding the idea, when their whole body is exuding the meaning of an angry body, which is so much more powerful, as it's this 3D object as opposed to this 2D object of a word, right? Of, hey, I'm not angry. A 2D object of like this sentence. Hey, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. Versus their whole 3D body experience showing you that they're angry through every vibe, through every misstep, through every slowdown of their step, through every self-sabotage so they don't show up at your party, through every time that they quote-unquote forget about something that they told you that they were going to do, for every time that they just look the other way when they're supposed to look at you, when they held back a laugh when they should have laughed. That 3D experience of their body that's happening over time like that. How much stronger is that than a words of I'm not angry? Well, infinity, exponentially. It's crazy. You can say you're not angry, but if the spouse and if that person's body or if that parent is exuding the meaning, if their body is telling you that they're angry through meaning first, well, the words will get trumped every time and you'll see the meaning and you'll see that they're angry. And so now what does that now mean, as we're always looking at meaning, not object? Doesn't that mean they're lying? Doesn't that mean that they're not being truthful to how they're feeling? They're telling you something that they are not truly feeling because they think that you cannot handle it. And again, we react to meaning and not object. Doesn't that mean that they think you're weak? As much as they love you, doesn't that mean that they believe you to be weak? Regardless of where they believe that problem lies. Maybe they believe that they are the problem. They're too ashamed to admit it. But whether or not that is the case, they believe you to be weak. If they're saying with object that they're not angry, but their body is showing the meaning of anger, then what is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of them saying that then? If they know that to be true of their body, they're saying that they're not angry, but their body feels it, then what is the meaning of that? I'll be right back. That was Coffee Break by Ruck P. Ruck P! We react to meaning, not object. If you would say it with me. We react to meaning, not object. One more time. We react to meaning, not object. Isn't that the friggin'... Isn't that the root of all this gaslighting stuff? People reacting to object, not meaning. You gotta react to meaning, right? As in, if it is the case that somebody is not angry, but then they're telling you, or if it is the case that somebody is angry physically, like you can tell that they're angry, something is upsetting them physically, which our whole body is a meaning, right? Our whole body is our mind. Our whole body is our mind. So should their body feel uneasy? Yes, there is unease in their mind. Yes, there is conflict of the mind. Yes, it is true. You are allowed to think that. And so if somebody is showing you that there's conflict and anger within their body, but they're telling you that there is none, they're so adamant about telling you that there's absolutely none, despite the fact that it's obvious that there is, whether through their body immediately or through their life choices, then what does that mean? What does it mean for somebody to knowingly instruct you the wrong places to place your body? What does it mean for someone to knowingly not tell you that they have an STD before they actually have sex with B? What does that mean? And what does it mean for somebody to feel something on the inside and tell you something totally different on the outside? And then what does it mean if you call them out for it and they still tell you the opposite? What does it mean if you pretend that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out? And to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so. As you observe your sense of self. Wherever you are you in a coffee shop? Where are you ending up? Are you driving right now? Are you with the kids? What's up, kids? Are you with the folks? What's up, folks? Are you with the friends? What's up, friends? How do you feel today? How do you feel about your parents? How do you feel about dating? Do you feel that dating and parents are related? Do you feel that your parents were perfect? Do you feel like your parents were imperfect? Do you feel like your parents made you feel like you were imperfect? Well, aren't we all just shapes of what we were trying to do to avoid those abandonment issues that we had growing up? As we are all these weak, little imperfect baby things as we come out. Perfect in the sense, we might be perfect in the sense that we don't need to do anything, but imperfect in the sense that we're gonna die in a few seconds, and we know that from the inside out. So as we all were these little baby childlike things, these little child baby things, these baby child things, these weak little baby child things. Do we see that we're just shapes of these little baby childlike things trying to avoid abandonment issues our whole lives? Whatever those abandonment issues ended up being, whether it be anger, whether it be lying, whether it be actual physical abandonment, whether it be physical abuse. Why is anger an abandonment issue? Well, when you get angry with a child, doesn't that prevent them from doesn't that dissuade them? Doesn't that discourage them from asking questions in the future? Should they now be trying to manage not just the pain of not knowing the truth of what they need to know, but also the pain of having to suffer with the emotional trauma that comes along with asking a question? Oh, you can ask me anything, but you say it with anger, they can't actually ask you anything. You can ask me anything. Why didn't you freaking ask me for something? You can ask me for anything. They can't ask you for anything. You used anger. You had anger. Your body had anger during that moment. And you did not address it, and you just smoothed over it as if it didn't happen. Now there are even more trust issues because now they don't even know if you see it either. Now they're just gaslighting themselves. Is this really anger? What the heck is going on? Should I be trying to find out the truth about the world, or should I be trying to manage my dada's or my mom's emotions right now? Which one is more threatening to me? Well, I'm a little baby childlike thing, so mama and dada are more threatening to me right now. So you can say, oh, I'm not angry with you. Why didn't you ask me a question? You know I'd never be angry with you. You can ask me anything. They can't ask you everything. They can't ask you anything. Not with anger. They're going to ask you something based on... They're going to ask you, and they're going to react to you based on the meaning, based on how to manage your anger, and not actually how to get the truth from you. But what you're looking from them is the truth. You're like, oh, ask me anything. Why didn't you... As the parents, right? And then their parents, right? And then their parents. And then their parents. And then their parents, right? It's all a big cycle, a big line, right? The parents are gonna freak out like, hey kids, why did you mess up that thing? Why didn't you ask me a question? You know you could ask me for anything. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not angry with you. Well, first of all, you're angry. And so they can't ask you this question because the question doesn't become about the truth. It becomes about managing your emotions. And that's an abandonment issue because that's not the real world, baby. The real world is not looking at mama and dada. The real world is looking at truth. So the more you get angry, the more you make your children tattoo, and the more that their parents made them, the more that their parents made them focus on their emotions more than the actual truth because they couldn't keep their emotions intact because the child's like, parents are scary because everything's an abandonment issue. Yeah, it's an abandonment issue because they couldn't keep their emotions on lock. So now us, as the children, as we grow up, we play the rules of our parents of appeasing their emotions and appeasing their wrath rather than actual truth, which is what we were trying to get in the first place, because that's what actually help us in the real world. So who are you dating? Are you dating them? Or are you dating a shadow, a shape of what they did to overcome these abandonment issues? A shape created by their limitations, or a shape created by their freedom of choice? We can get freedom of choice by integrating the truths without hatred, making it part of us because it is you. But should you see these things as other things? These abandonment issues, should we see them as not part of us, as not something that we should look at with the truth without hatred, then it carries with you. Let's be life-loving as we react to meaning, not object. And so when we're dating, who are you dating? Well, let's figure it out. As you're pretending there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. To leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so. To be able to handle and overcome the situations that feel like abandonment, the situations that feel like life or death. In the moments that feel like death because of the abandonment issues that we had when we were such a weak little baby child. They might make us do certain things, act a certain way. But if we pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out, is to leave your swallowing muscles alone and observe your sense of self. Can we acknowledge that the abandonment issue is just that? An irrational fear from something when you were much less capable than you are today, as we are pretending that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. You strong, amazing human being, you. You window to this godlike experience that you are. Are you asking yourself if you're remembering to just observe? You amazing godlike experience that you are you remembering to just observe? These abandonment issues are not life or death, and they are not you. They were created in a time where you are not you right now. You are not you with the strength. You are not you with the talent. You are not you with the knowledge that you have today. You are not you as you are today when those abandonment issues were created. I say they do not pose a threat to you the way that they used to. How do we know this? Well, if you're pretending with me that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. Please pretend with me in the first podcast in 3D. Even if it's just in your head, please pretend with me that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. It's just flickering there. Don't breathe in or out. It's just flickering there. You're trying to not put it out. And in your head, just say it with me. Leave your swallowing muscles alone. Just in your head. While continuing to always keep that candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. Always, always, always. Just say it with me in your head. Leave your swallowing muscles alone. One more time in your head. Leave your swallowing muscles alone. As we are stretching our self-awareness like a muscle, I hope you have a fantastic day today. Today is another True Love Tuesday. Hope you have a fantastic True Love Tuesday filled with joy, laughter, and of course love, which is the truth without hatred. Verbally, right? As in the action is the truth without hatred, right? That's love, but you're gonna feel that thing in a so much more 3D way, like a meaning kind of way. Is that not true? It's gonna feel like a holistic thing, but how do we get there? The truth without hatred, baby. On Tuesday, August 24. It is freaking 8:45 a.m. I hope you have a fantastic morning, a fantastic day. Go be authentic with yourself by pretending there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. Remember to always leave the swallowing muscles alone. Remember to always feel the front of your shins. And feel those rainbow arches and that you do not sit on your legs, you silly girl. You silly boy. My name is Herbie. Good morning, and this is Padawan. We'll be back on Warfare Wednesday tomorrow. There'll be some changes around here. You'll see some announcements around here. We're getting nice and good. Make sure that you feel so good from the inside out. Remember to always allow all of these words to enter in one ear and out the other, whether you are out there walking towards your destination right now, whether you are holding hands, whether you are buying chocolates, whether you are going up an elevator, looking around at the world where you are one part of this gigantic world, but also this gigantic world is one thing, composed of all these individual parts, like your body, right? Let's feel the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all the times. We'll see you tomorrow on Warfare Wednesday on an episode of Padawan.